What's up, everybody? Had to do my signature move here. Anybody that follows me on social media would know what I'm talking about. First of all, I'd like to just send out a thank you to you, Danny, for providing this opportunity. And a lot of you guys probably don't know, me and Danny go way back. Wow, I've known Danny since, the early 90s. I can't really pinpoint the exact year. He probably doesn't even remember this. We go back even before the 36th Street hangouts. You know, those times where we used to get together and go clubbing and stuff. We had a class together at a Bergen Community College prior to hanging out and getting together on the 36th Street club scene thing. I don't ask me what class it was. Don't remember. But yeah, we knew each other from that class. I wonder if you remember that, Danny. Anyhow, okay. I am a freelance artist and comic book creator and self-publisher. I'll get more into that a little later. I was born and raised in Paterson, New Jersey, and I came up in a two-parent home. I had both my mother and father with me, which they are still alive to this day. I was one of the fortunate people in my group, my little clique or whatever, at that time that had both parents together. Most of my friends and people that I hung out with did not have that. They came from single family homes, and my house and my parents early on kind of served as like a hub for like neighborhood kids. And if you got in trouble, you got kicked out for whatever reason, your mother or whatever, you got pregnant or whatever, you got kicked out, you ended up at my house. You spent a couple of nights at my house until you got yourself together. That's just the way my house was during that time. And regarding my upbringing, we were raised very strictly. My dad, he'd always been an aspiring, he always said if he could do it all over again, he would have been a police officer. That or a fighter, a boxer. He loved those two ideas in terms of career, and he had the personality for it. He's very much in like old school macho kind of guy. He believes a man is a man, and he's very much into that. He was the disciplinarian in the house. My mother was also strict, but not in the same way. She was a lot more lenient, I guess you could say, a lot more loose when it came to that. My dad was definitely the one that laid down the rules and stuff. And I was raised, like I said, really strict. I got a lot of beat downs. Back in the day, you can get away with beating your child. That was part of the discipline. You got out of line, your pops or moms or whatever, hell, even your grandma sometimes got down with it. They were allowed to beat you. If it was illegal, nobody cared, nobody did anything about it, which is way different than it is today. Something like that happens now, you got child services coming down on you and you're going to jail. All right, period. So it's totally different now. And in terms of challenging childhood, I guess I had a pretty good childhood. I gotta admit, I had toys. I had kids that came over and I played with and stuff. I always did want a brother. I come from a family of 3 sisters, and I'm the only male. I'm the oldest, so I did spend a lot of time alone at a certain point in my life early on. I guess that's when I pretty much gravitated towards the arts. I did a lot of drawing and sketching, and I learned ways to entertain myself by myself. So that's pretty much what kept me drawing even till this day. My teen years. All right, my teen years were, like they say, the typical, awkward stage, I guess. I definitely went through that. You go through that period where you become very self-aware and self-conscious, and you just become very very much almost embarrassed of yourself in public. That's how I felt. And it took me many years to get over that. I don't even think I'm over it completely till this day. But it's been an experience where I can say I didn't have those defining, how can I put it, that pinnacle, that moment where it said, "Oh, I'm never gonna do that again," or "I'm gonna become this." At that time, it just was like a gradual thing, a day to day thing where, as I got older and more experienced and more mature, things started to happen for me, and I started to make moves and become more the person that I am today. Um, and I'm just reading off some of the questions here. Pardon me, looking off the screen. Yeah, I do draw. Yeah, like I mentioned. When did I discover it was a gift? Early on, I knew it was something that I loved to do, and like I said, I spent a lot of time alone. So I got really good at it, and eventually people started, offering me money to draw stuff for them, or do paintings or whatever. I grew up during the time when Bob Ross, the Afro guy on Channel 13 PBS station, used to do demos. He had a show where he would demonstrate, his painting process and all that. That's how I learned how to paint. One of my uncles on my mother's side was gracious enough to gift me an easel, a painting easel, which I still have right over there in my studio. And I would prop it up in front of the television, and I got my little set of paints or whatever, and I would paint along with Bob Ross. That's how I got my first hands-on experience at painting. And other than that, it was sort of I hate to call it a hobby, but it was something I did when I wasn't outside or playing, or when, like, there was nothing else available to me to do. That's what I did. I knew I liked doing it, but I did not know, or I didn't believe I could turn it into something in terms of like a career or a job. And in my household, my parents were not like really educated. My dad made it to like 8th grade. My mom, I think, even dropped out of high school. She made it to high school, but she dropped out. So neither of them had that formal education. So they didn't really have that mentality of, making something making something out of the art in terms of a career. So I never got that push from them. It was something that developed all pretty much off of my own interest. Let me see. Okay. I was in the military. I see a question here about the military. I did join the military. At a point in my life, I guess it was like from the time I hit college, which was at around 18. Prior to that, I'd been, pretty much sheltered in a way. My parents were very strict. My mom wouldn't let me go to parties and things like that in grammar school. So I grew up very sheltered. By the time I hit college, though, that broadened me in terms of the type of people that I had interactions with, and that led to different experiences, and that gave me kind of a sense of freedom. I was driving and I was meeting all these new people and stuff. So I kind of spent most of my college years, it was a community college, most of my college years partying. I gotta say, the partying, you know what I mean, just hanging out and skipping class and doing that thing. And I finally reached the point, and that's funny, that's around the time that I met Danny. I finally reached the point by around my mid-20s where I just started feeling really down, and like, what was my purpose? Where was my life going? I started having all these questions. I felt, I was halfway to 30 at that point, halfway in terms of 5 more years. I was 25, around there. And I just felt like, what am I going to be like at age 30? I was already thinking that. I went into the hangout mode or whatever, doing all kinds of, stupid stuff. And even at that moment, I knew that it was kind of something that I would eventually stop doing, and I was thinking already ahead what I would be doing next. So around, the mid-20s, I just started becoming very, very kind of numb to everything. I guess looking back, it was kind of a form of depression, I would say. Very little of the same things that I did would make me happy. I would be hanging out, I would be at a club, music, people around me, everybody drinking, and yet I still would feel like I was not there. Like, I couldn't open up and really enjoy the moment. I just kept, to myself and thinking about this. There has to be more. You know what I mean? I felt like there had to be more. So eventually I enlisted in the Air Force. And for me, it probably I would say it was one of the best decisions of my life. And for anybody, my advice would be when you really want to do something, you go for it and you do it. Because as soon as I told people that, my circle, my family, my friends, everybody I knew was trying to talk me out of it. I heard everything from, oh, that's just, you can't deal with real life. You're giving up on life. And, why are you going to do that? I heard all kinds of arguments against it. Bottom line though, only you know yourself, you know what's really best for you, and you can't listen to all this outside stuff. You know what I mean? Once you know that you want to do this and you've given it some thought, because I had thought about this was not a rash decision that I made just on the spot. It had been on my mind for maybe, years, maybe months or whatever, for a long time, bubbling in my brain that I needed to do something. I needed to change my life. I needed to make a move. And that move at the time, the idea resonated with me was joining the military. So I did that, and I went in knowing I wouldn't be like a career man. I wasn't going to retire from the military and be a general or whatever, go all the way with it. I knew that from the beginning. I went in specifically just to sort of put myself in different environments, meet different people, have different experiences, travel. Obviously, that's one of the main things I really wanted to do. And I just wanted to put myself out there, I guess, in a way, challenge myself to come out of myself and be, next level, get the next level version of myself. And I got all of that out of it. Once I did my time, I was happy with that, and I got everything I wanted out of it, and I did not re-enlist. When I came home, I kind of went back into kind of like a little slump. It was kind of like, okay, what do I do now? I eventually moved back into the arts. I went right back into comics, and I started hitting the convention scene, which is where I came across, I think it was my very first or my second convention. I came across a like-minded group of fellas, and eventually we linked up, and we formed our own studio, and I began self-publishing. That was roughly around 2004, and I'm still self-publishing. So yeah, that happened. And in terms of, let me see here, I'm looking at another question. All right, a significant challenge or obstacle that I faced and had to overcome. I'm gonna say it's an obstacle and a challenge that I still face today. I am my own obstacle. I am my own challenge. I constantly doubt myself, and I constantly have to, talk myself up to do things. There's a lot of times where I talk myself out of doing things, and that is something I don't know if I can necessarily not blame, but associate with my upbringing, being so sheltered. And, my mom used to be worried about every little thing. Maybe that's a part of it. I don't know if it's a natural inclination for me, nature versus nurture. I'm not sure, but it's there. And I definitely face it even till this day. So yeah, that's something on a daily basis. I got to overcome it. And I'm still working on it. Let me see. Important lessons you learned in your life. Okay, yeah, I've already kind of stated it, but there's nothing more valuable to a person once they know themselves. Okay, once you figure out what you're about and what you really want out of life and how you see yourself, once you know that, there's no advice that anybody else can give you that's going to be more valuable than your own, because you know you, and only you can know you. You know what I mean? Nobody else is you. That sounds funny, but it's true. Like, think about that. Nobody else is inside your brain. Okay, so it's good to have, I'm not against having mentors or people that are more experienced, sharing their knowledge, or having insight into things that you might question in life and all of that stuff. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, if you know yourself, only you can give yourself advice that you can follow. Because what worked for such and such in his pursuit of whatever may not necessarily work for you, because again, you're two different people. So it's just not meant to work that way. So what you can do is, what I do is I take, sort of bullet points from, people that I admire, that I aspire to be like, and take what I can and kind of implement that into my own way, and use what I can that I can make work for me. So that's the best I can say about that. Let me see. Can you tell me a risk, change, motivated? Yeah, and again, like the risk for me was what motivated me to change. It was just me being just tired of the same thing. I needed to express myself. I needed to grow, and I needed to get out of my familiarity, you know what I mean? Out of the areas that I already knew. I had already felt like I'd done everything I could do there, you know, growing up in Patterson and being around a certain environment and certain friends and certain elements. And it was nothing against that. You know, I'm proud of where I'm from, and, you know, I'm glad to know a lot of the people that I've known in my life, and all of that. But I just felt I needed more. That's the bottom line. I needed more, and I had to get it, and I had to find a way to get it on my own. Wow, what is your life goal or vision or purpose? Oh man. Well, I would say my life goal is to achieve my version of happiness. You know, my place where I have everything that I want in my life available to me. You know, health, family, finances, you know, my career, my job, something, you know, that I love doing. And it's all tied into the arts. You know, that's my passion is. And I definitely have always seen myself as, like, you know, that old guy on the beach doing these you know, outdoor paintings and whatnot. And that's kind of what I'm striving towards. That's my goal. I would love to be that guy, you know. And in terms of you know, that ties into my purpose as well. My vision and all of that ties in together. I've started working on an anthology, which I have some of the pages back here. You can't really see because of the lighting. An anthology that features just all short stories drawn and written by myself. And it's got different genres, because, you know, I don't just like dinosaurs. I don't just like horror, you know, or superheroes. I like a lot of stuff. So I'm incorporating a lot of the things that I'm passionate about in terms of genres and putting it into this anthology. And I'm doing it in a way where I'm experimenting with different styles. Like, one story is going to be fully hand painted, you know, just straight up traditional. Another one's going to be digital. Another one's going to be ink and ink wash, and all these different mediums, mixed medium. And that's just me getting my best self onto this project, you know, with no limitations. I'm not working with partners. I'm not working with a studio. There's nobody telling me, oh, you can't do that, or, you know, that's not acceptable, or, you know, you got to worry about the what do you call it, the age limit, you know, kids can't, you know, all that stuff, that's gone. It's just me being me, telling the stories I want to tell the way I want to tell them. And that's all part of what I see as my legacy, what I would like to leave behind, you know, when I'm, you know, long gone or whatever. This is the first in a series of that. I would like to put out more stories, and whatever takes off based on that, whatever gets the most attention, could possibly turn into a single story, you know what I mean? A single ongoing story based off of the reactions I get. Let me see. How do I balance work and family and your passion? That takes a lot of patience. Something that I didn't always have when I was younger. I would get very frustrated if I was doing something and someone was pulling me, you know, family member, whatever, was pulling me in another direction to go do something else. I would get really, really flustered with that. I have learned not to get as flustered and to just accept my responsibilities as an adult and categorize everything. Okay, I dedicate a certain amount of time to do everything, and it's almost like I'm doing it simultaneously, but in time slots. So, for example, I do, you know, my regular job. I work for the post office, and I have 2 weekdays off. Yesterday I had one, and I try to take care of, like, you know, outside business. Like, if I have a doctor's appointment, I gotta go to motor vehicles or court or whatever. I take care of it on that day. And then the next day, which is today, I'm in the studio all day, and I treat it as if it was like a work day, a regular work day, you know, 9 to 5 or whatever. I drop off my son in school in the morning, and I'm down here until I go pick him up after school around 3:30. And then sometimes I even sneak some time down here at night, just because that's, you know, I'm so obsessed, you know, obsessive compulsive or whatever. I can't get away from here. I can't stay away for too long. So I'm always down in my studio, even during my work days. I try to, I get home by about 5:30. I spend a little time with my wife, my sons, and, you know, I relax for a little bit. And then usually around 8:30, 9 p.m., I'm down here till about midnight, or, you know, until my eyes give out and I get sleepy or whatever. And I try to be down here every day. Even if I'm not drawing, I might be just organizing, you know, my paperwork, or, you know, redoing, you know, the layout of my studio, which I recently just did again. I'm always down here every single day. And let me see here. misconceptions people have about my life or experience, I will definitely have to say there are quite a few. I, through the magic of Facebook, back in the day, and Danny can attest to this, when someone moved away, you know what I mean? Like, you just never saw or heard from them again. You know what I mean? It's like they fell off the planet, even if like you were in the same city. It's funny as hell. You had a childhood friend or whatever, and he moved to the other side of town. You never saw him again. That was it, gone. And then through the magic of Facebook and social media, you reconnect with all these people from your past. And I've had instances where some people, I'm not going to name any names or anything, gave me the impression that they had the impression that I was now suddenly, above them, or that I thought I was above them for some reason, just because I quote unquote made it out or whatever. You know what I mean? I took my life into my own hands, and I took responsibility for myself, and I worked hard to make sure I don't end up, just running around the streets doing nothing with my life. And for some reason, I got, the feedback from some people on a different level that gave me the impression that they thought I was like thinking I'm better than them. That's one of the misconceptions. And, like I said, I'm proud of where I come from. I wouldn't be the man I am today if I didn't have that background. I have no regrets when it comes to that. That's what got me here. So yeah, that's a total misconception. I would never think that way. I look at everybody as an equal. I don't put myself above anyone. Let me see. Can you share a time when someone had a profound impact? Yeah, profound impact on my life. I gotta say, excuse me, the biggest impact and profound impact on my life, for me, was when I met my wife. Her name is Gabby. We met in college, when I was going back on one of my many attempts to finish my associate's degree. That's a whole other story. It took me forever to do that. And basically knowing her and meeting her at that point in time was pretty much what the doctor ordered. I immediately, I shaped up. I became responsible, and I had gone from like this single bachelor guy doing whatever I wanted to do to having all the responsibility you could have in the world. She came with a son. She had a 4-year-old son, which I took on as my own, who is now 25, and I see him as my son. I raised him, and we kid about it. And even back then, it was like instant family. You take me, her, the boy, boom, mix it together, instant family. And it's been that way. And we've grown together. During the course of our relationship, she went back to school. She got her bachelor's, she got her master's, and it got me thinking and interested in going back to school myself. And basically, with just her getting tired of me saying that over the years, she finally forced me. We drove over to NJCU, New Jersey City University, back in 2017, and I registered, and I completed my BFA, my Bachelor's in Fine Art. I walk this spring in a couple of weeks, and that's something that I definitely, I don't think I could have done that alone. Honestly, I really don't. And right now, I'm in the process. I don't think I could have done that without her, having her. Right now, I'm in the process of looking into my master's. I'm looking for a graduate school that can coincide with my work schedule, that I can maybe do some classes online and that sort of thing. So yeah, that has had, meeting Gabby and being together has had a very profound impact on my life, and definitely for the better. What do we got here? Let me see here. Well, some of the values that I hold important and that have influenced my decisions and actions. I believe it's valuable to have sort of expectations of yourself. Okay, not to settle, not to be okay with whatever life throws at you or people give you or whatever. It's okay to want more. You know what I mean? And it's okay to ask for more. And if you don't get it, it's okay to make movements to get more. Okay. Ambition, I guess, would be a value. You could categorize that as a value. It's okay to have ambition, okay? Just because other people believe that you're okay, you're well off or whatever, nobody knows you unless they walked a mile in your shoes, right? That's the saying. It's cliche or whatever, but you just never know. Somebody might have like $1,000,000 and be like the most miserable person on earth or whatever. You just never know, what that person is going through. And for me, wanting to break out of the cycle and what I was seeing around me, I gotta say, I'm sure Danny can probably attest to this as well. A lot of the kids I grew up with are no longer here. So many of them, I've heard stories over the years, were killed, just, street violence and things, I'm not going to get into. They're gone. There's a small handful of kids that I actually grew up with in the neighborhood that might still be around. Very small handful. So yeah, I knew even back then I didn't want to be one of those, statistics. Yeah, so I would say that attitude has definitely influenced my decisions and has made me take action and make things happen for myself. Let me check out another one. Okay, difficult decision and way out. Okay, my decision to join the military was not an easy one because excuse me, at the time I was very influenced by outside influences, my friends and my family, and they were in my head really. And I heard the arguments against it, and a part of me was believing it. I'm like, they might be right. What should I do? But again, like, I knew that seeing myself after it, I would be a lot happier than seeing myself after it and not having done it. You know what I mean? It would have been like one of those like what ifs. You know what I mean? I could not do that to myself. So I definitely needed to shut off any influences and just go with my gut. Go with my feeling and what I knew within me. Let's see here. My social media, I am on social media. I'm on Instagram, Arroyocus. That is my social media handle on Instagram. That's ARROYOCUS. And I'm on Facebook. My first name Anibal, middle name L Arroyo. And I'm always on. You can hit me up on there. I respond pretty quickly. I'm in the process of working on a website to feature my artwork. And that's about it. One last thing I may want to add is in terms of just my little piece of advice for people, and something to give you, hopefully that would improve your situation or your life, is always just be true to yourself. Again, a cliche, but these cliches have value and have truth to them. No matter what the world says or does against you, or how you may be feeling, in terms of doubting yourself, put yourself out there, test yourself out, see what you're made of, take yourself from your normal situations and play around with it. Like, put yourself in different situations. And there's a saying, something about it has to do with mastering yourself. You cannot master anything else before you master yourself, right? That means you got to know yourself. You got to be able to control yourself in a given situations, have control over your emotions and your thoughts, and act on that, rather than letting the outside influences mold you. That's kind of a cheap excuse. When I hear stuff like he's a product of his environment, this, that, and the other, I can understand it. But at the same time, I also see that as a weakness. You know what I mean? Because we are in control. We have the ability to make these decisions that will affect us, and we need to be aware of that and accountable for that. And a lot of people just don't see it that way. He's a product of his environment, that's why he sells drugs, this, that, and the other. They kind of wash their hands, and it's like an excuse to get away with that. And I just don't see it. I see a person with intelligence that has the capability to make these decisions and be held accountable for them. And that's everybody that's breathing. We can all do that. So with that, I just want to say thanks again to Danny for this opportunity. And yeah, man, keep doing what you do, man. It's good stuff. Peace.